And good afternoon, guys. Lulu here. Donna Michelle Hammersley, movement and mindset coach. So, the other day, after I did my post with me in my bikini, a friend of mine who's known me for some years now, and she sent me a message, and she was like, "What's happened? What's happened to you? Have you been working with a coach?" You said, because, I've been watching you for years, and, how have you nailed the self-love thing? Because, we both struggled, we both met on a program 2 years ago. We both had our struggles, our difficulties, our problems. Who hasn't? And she said, you're really showing up differently. I really want to know what you've been doing, who you've been working with. And I suppose the answer to the first question, have I been working with a coach? I suppose yes, really, because I've been coaching myself. I've been coaching myself. And after she asked that question, I actually went and sat down and thought, okay, what have I been doing? Because there's no one thing, okay? There's no one thing and there's no quick fix. And I should also mention as a side note, we never have anything sussed, okay? We never have anything completely sussed. It's layers and levels. The same as I realized a few years ago that it is impossible to completely be free of fear and doubt. Every new moon, full moon, whatever, people will say, I'm letting go of fear and doubt and self-doubt, blah, blah, blah. And it came to me one day, probably after meditation, and especially after seeing several people who I admire, who are very successful, very good at what they do, very confident, hearing that they go through periods of self-doubt. And it made me realize then that actually, is it possible to be completely free of it? And I don't think it is. I don't think it is. I think it's always going to come up in some way, because that's part of our humanness, part of our ego. That will always be there. What we can do is make the decision to not let that fear and doubt derail us. But that's a whole nother whole nother story. So I thought, okay, how did I nail it? And I haven't nailed it. I haven't nailed it at all, because you never nail anything. You never totally suss everything out. But I have obviously made huge strides in the way that I'm showing up in a light. This is me. I love me. I love being me. I love who I am. Doesn't mean I think I'm perfect. Doesn't mean I think I'm better than anyone else. And it doesn't mean I have stopped working on myself. Because another side note, there is no there to get to. Okay, there is no there. There is no, once I get here, everything will be sussed. Because you can up-level your life, make changes, improvements, etc. There'll be new worries, new challenges, etc. So there is no there to get to. But here's the thing. Once you realize that there is no there to get to, it's like, oh, I'll be all right when I get there. Once you realize there is no there is no finishing line, there is no one on this planet who's got it all sussed, you can kind of like relax a bit and enjoy the journey. Okay, so I'll get that out of the way now. So yeah, I went and sat down straight away after the message and tried to kind of think of the things that I do, because it isn't a one-off thing. It wasn't an overnight thing. It's been consistently doing things, lots of different things. And I think if I was to kind of try and summarize it, I've become my own best friend. That is probably the best way to summarize it. I've become my own best friend, because here's the thing. If you've ever been bullied, and a lot of us have, I was bullied at school, teased at school, it makes you feel like shit, doesn't it? It makes you want the ground to open up and swallow you. And it makes you feel, I was teased about my nose on a daily basis. Never knew anything was wrong with my nose until then. I was also teased about the way I speak, because I sound quite posh. No idea why, because I'm the least posh person you'll ever come across. But I spoke differently to everyone else. I was teased about being posh and called Concord and man alone, all that kind of stuff. It makes you feel like shit, right? Yet we bully ourselves. We criticize ourselves. We put ourselves down. We call ourselves names. We can list all our faults and flaws, and yet we don't focus on the things that we're good at. Or we've bought into this bullshit that to love yourself is vain and selfish. To blow your own trumpet is vain and selfish and wrong. And we've got it all arse about face. We have got it completely all arse about face. because it is not wrong to love yourself. It is not wrong to praise yourself. It is not wrong to say, hey, I'm really good at this. It's actually right. It's actually right. So if I was to summarize it, I've become my own best friend, in that if I wouldn't say something to someone I care about, I don't say it to myself, or I switch it, because we can't help having those thoughts. We can't help having those moments of, oh, you stupid bitch, you've forgotten X, Y, Z again. But I switch it. So I tried to write down things that I did and say, I've got a list of things that I've done and things that I do on a regular basis. And I'll kind of go through them, but I will probably do another other lives at other times where I go through them in a bit more detail. But I suppose the first thing was I made a conscious decision. I made a conscious decision that I was going to be more loving towards myself because I wanted to be happy. I didn't want to be in a relationship with someone who makes me feel like shit. Just as you would not want to be in a relationship with someone who criticizes you every day, someone who points out your faults every day, someone who tells you look like shit, all those kind of things. You would not want to be in a relationship with that kind of person. And yet, as I say, we do it to ourselves. So I made the conscious decision that I was going to be my own best friend, my own biggest cheerleader, my own coach, my own best supporter. Oh, have you got another tick there, Miss Lulu? I found a tick on her the other day, and I think I might have found another one. I'll have to have a look at that in a minute. Yeah, I think you have. Humbuggery. Okay, we'll get that off later. So, and here's the thing. We, as humans, we expect everything overnight. And it's kind of worse nowadays because we now live in a society where we get everything on demand. You know, you want something to eat, you just go on your phone and you press a few buttons and a few minutes later, pizza arrives. You know, you want to know something, you go on Google instead of having to go to the library or go look in your encyclopedia. You know, we expect everything now. And we expect someone else to give us a quick fix cure. It's like people want to get slimmer and healthier and blah, 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 but they don't want to put the work in. You know, we want everything now. And it doesn't work like that. Especially not if you've had years of being a complete and utter bitch to yourself, if you've had years of being mean to yourself, of criticizing yourself, of hating yourself. It's not going to change overnight. But what happens as soon as you make that conscious decision, things start to change. Like, I am willing to learn to love myself. I am willing to become my own best friend. I am willing to be kinder to myself. And here's the thing, here's the kind of paradox. The kinder and nicer you are to yourself, the more you actually start to like yourself. So if you look at that in reverse, the more you are horrible to yourself, the more you hate on yourself, the more you will hate yourself. It's as simple as that. So I started by making a conscious decision that I would be more kind, be more loving, because I wanted to be happy. I wanted to be happy. Life is too short to be miserable. Life is too short to be hating on yourself. Life is too short to not do what you want to do because you feel insecure, because you feel like you're not worthy. It's too damn fucking short. So I made the conscious decision. Another thing I do is affirmations. I started off every single morning, as soon as when I stumble into the bathroom, literally I get out of bed, stumble into the bathroom, I look at myself in the mirror, looking like shit, I'm bleary-eyed, and I say, good morning, beautiful. I love you. I'm proud of you. Even when I feel like shit, doesn't mean I think I look beautiful, but because it makes me smile. It makes me smile, especially if I look like shit. It makes me smile. And the first few minutes or the first few seconds of your day can set the tone for the whole day. If you're thinking things like, oh God, another day, I've got to do this, I've got to do that before you even get out of bed, that's not setting you up for a good day. If you then go into the bathroom, look in the mirror, go, oh my fucking God, I look like shit. Oh my God, I've got new grey hairs. Oh, I've got bags under my eyes. Oh my word, you look like a horror story, blah, blah, blah. That's not going to set you up for a bad day. So you're already in a shitty mood and it's going to go downhill from there. So I started doing things like that. And I put stickers around the house of affirmations. Things like, in every day, in every way, I treat myself with loving kindness. Things like, I now accept that I too am worthy of all things wonderful. And here's the thing with affirmations. They don't work if, one, it's something you don't believe, and two, you only say it once and that's it. So if you're just starting on this journey, for example, and you tried saying, I love myself, I love myself, I love myself, in the back of your head, your subconscious mind is going to be calling bullshit on you. Whereas if you say something like, I am ready and willing to love myself unconditionally, it might be more of a mouthful, but it's more honest. And a belief is a thought you have on repeat. You believe that you're ugly, you're worthless, you're this, that, and the other because you've told yourself so many times. So we just have to replace that belief by thinking something else, by saying something else. And it's something that you need to do throughout the day. Something you need to do throughout the day. So I would advise having little post-it notes all around your house, in your car. I even had them in my car, so that when I saw them, I would say the affirmation and it would lift my mood. It would change my mood. It would lift my vibration. So as I said, it's not something you can just do once. It's not a case of I woke up one morning, I looked in the mirror and said, I love you, and everything had changed. It's not as simple as that. It's been building up over the past few months, past few years, but especially the past few months. And being aware also of your thoughts, so that when you do have that, because they will pop into your mind, those thoughts of, oh my God, I look like shit. Those kind of things are, oh, I'm useless, I forgot to do X, Y, Z again. They will always pop into your mind. But it's learning to be aware of those thoughts. And that was number 3 as well. Being aware of those thoughts so that you can change them. So as I still fall into the trap sometimes, oh, fuck that, I forgot to do that again. Oh, I'm useless, blah, blah, blah. And I just flip it. I say, no, I'm not useless. I've just been busy. Everyone's allowed to have, time off. Everyone's allowed to forget things. It's just human. And I just switch those thoughts. So if I have a kind of unkind, disempowering thought, I'll switch it. I'll change it. If I'm looking in the mirror thinking, oh my God, I look like crap, I will remind myself that I am focusing on bits, and who I am is far more important than what I look like. Who I am is far more important than what I look like. And if I like myself on the inside, I am more likely to like what I see on the outside. And the other thing is, and something that really kind of like stuck in my head a few years ago, was that without fail, in 10 years' time, you will wish you looked like you do now. So you probably look back at photographs of you 10 years ago and wish you looked like you did then, because you look younger or whatever. But here's the thing, you hated yourself then. You hated the way you looked like then. And I know I look at photographs of me 10 years ago and think, what was I worrying about? What was I, why did I hate myself so much? So I know that in 10 years' time, when I'm 10 years older, I will wish I looked like I did now. So that kind of like changed things a lot. And say, who I am is far more important than what I look like. And when I'm happy within myself, it shows. It shows. When you're happy, content within yourself, with your life, you literally look better. You look better. You glow, and you just give off this vibration, and everyone around you kind of like reacts to that. And I also started praising myself, because children thrive on praise. But we seem to forget that actually humans thrive on praise. Humans thrive on praise. Saying to someone, oh, that's a good job, you've done that really well. It gives us a hit of dopamine, makes us feel better. So I now try to praise myself for anything big or small. If I don't feel like doing something, but I do it, I then mentally praise myself and say, well done for doing that when you didn't feel like doing that. Or if I go into Sainsbury's and I've got an urge to eat loads of chocolate and I don't, I praise myself, say, well done, you didn't eat the chocolate, that's fine. It doesn't matter if I then go and buy some more later, it doesn't matter. I praise myself in that moment, because we are so good at criticizing ourselves, at belittling ourselves, at, just being horrible. And I think we've kind of like got stuck in this idea that to kind of like praise yourself is kind of like vain and arrogant, but it's not. It's really not, because if it's vain and arrogant, therefore wrong, that then means that it's right to criticize yourself, to belittle yourself, to put yourself down. That just doesn't make sense. Would you do that to someone you love? Would you constantly put someone you love and care about? Would you constantly put them down? Would you constantly belittle them? Would you constantly be trying to make them feel like shit? Because I'm hoping the answer is no. If the answer is no, then why do it to yourself? Why should it be right to do it to yourself? You don't have to say it out loud. You can just literally in your head say, oh, you really didn't feel like doing that, or you struggled with that, but you did it anyway. Instead of saying, oh, I didn't get it right, blah, blah, blah. You know, yeah, that was challenging and I didn't quite manage it right, but I gave it a go. I gave it my best shot. Self-praise. All these things add up to raising your vibrations, to being your own best friend, your own biggest cheerleader, to being kinder to yourself. And as I said, the kinder you are to yourself, the more you actually start to like yourself. And you may not be able to go straight from self-loathing and self-disgust and whatever to self-love. So it's going through stages. Move to like, move to being likable, move to being kinder and more caring towards yourself, and that will naturally progress to self-love. Another thing that I did that's not necessarily to do with self-love, but it did make a massive difference to my my outlook on life, I guess, my emotional state, which was, and it started off as a challenge, a 24-hour challenge, which was to live in a state of neutrality, which is to not judge anything as either good or bad, right or wrong, positive or negative. And I started doing it as a 24-hour challenge. I set myself the challenge of for 24 hours, I wouldn't judge anything. I wouldn't judge anything as good or bad, wouldn't class it as right or wrong, positive or negative. It just is. And that was the day, actually, it was last November, I think it was. And an hour or so later, I'm at my ex-husband, and he told me that we were going back into the second lockdown. And I was like, oh, for fuck's sake. And after a few seconds of going, rah, I laughed because I thought, oh, I'm not meant to be judging anything, am I? I'm not meant to be, it just is. And I laughed. In that moment, I laughed at myself because no more than an hour into the challenge, I was judging. I was getting frustrated. Oh, for Christ's sake, that means I'm going to lose money. And as soon as I laughed, all that stress, all that anger, whatever, just melted away. Because we can't always change what's happening around us. I couldn't change the fact we were going into a second lockdown. I couldn't change the fact that I'd have to cancel my classes again. But I could change how I felt about it. And it doesn't mean to say I don't slip up occasionally. Of course, we all do. But it made me realise how often we judge. And even in the simplest ways, oh, this is difficult. Oh, this is boring. Oh, this is annoying. Oh, this is frustrating. That's judgment. That's making a judgment. And so I just try and catch myself. If I'm getting stuck in a state of judgment, I just catch myself. Again, it's awareness. Awareness of my thoughts, awareness of what I'm thinking. And I'm like, if I'm getting frustrated or whatever, I'll catch myself and like kind of just laugh to myself, think, I'm judging. Okay. And in that moment, I let it go. I let it go. Because here's the thing. On the emotional scale, obviously up the top is joy, happiness, excitement, ecstasy, gratitude. Down the bottom is guilt, shame, fear, depression, boredom, all those kind of things. And whilst we would love to be in the top all the time, that's not realistic. But being in the middle, it's not a low vibration. It's a kind of state of peace. It's a state of peace. And here's the thing, when you're in the middle, it's not such a step to move up into joy and happiness and playfulness and gratitude and all that kind of thing. It's a lot further to drop down into depression, into guilt. You know, anger, resentment, frustration are all low vibration emotions. They're all low vibration emotions, and they will affect everything. How you look, how you feel, how your life responds to you. So living in a state of neutrality has been an absolute game changer for me. And I still have to work at it because I still have to catch myself. I still judge. We all, as I say, we all judge. We all do. Whether we're listening to someone drilling outside and we say, oh, that's bloody annoying. That's annoying noise. That's judgment. You know, that's being human. But learning to catch it and just flipping the script, that is possible. So that was another thing that I did. Practicing acceptance. So deciding that who I am is more important than what I look like. And ask myself, do I like myself? Do I like myself? And usually when we answer that question, or when people ask us that question, will usually answer with something like, well, yeah, I'm a pretty good person, but I do this sometimes. Or yeah, I quite like myself, but I don't like it when I do X, Y, Z. But here's the thing, no one is perfect, okay? Absolutely no one on this planet is perfect. There is not a single living being on this planet who doesn't have some kind of bad habit of some kind, who doesn't mess up at some time, who hasn't lied, who hasn't told a white lie, who hasn't done something wrong. Who you are at your core. I can be grumpy. This past week, up to today, I was really fucking grumpy, and it was slipping out. It was slipping out towards other people, and that is not like me at all. Did I beat myself up over it? No, because you are not your actions, you are not your behaviors, you are not your habits, you are not your characteristics. You know, everyone does bad things or has done bad things. Doesn't make you a bad person. Everyone's done stupid things. Doesn't make you a stupid person. You know, what you do, what you've done is not who you are. You know, if at my core, and I can be grumpy, I can be snappy, I can procrastinate, do you know what I mean? But at my core, I'm a decent person. I care about how other people feel. I love my animals. I love my students. I want them to feel good. You know, I'm learning to have patience. I will help out people whenever I can. So at my core, do I like myself? Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do. It doesn't mean to say I think I'm perfect, because there's no such thing as perfect. Are there things that I would like to change? Yeah, and I'm working on them, because we are a work in progress, and always will be a work in progress. But do I, at my core, taking away my behaviors, my habits, whatever, do I like the person I am? And the answer is yes. So I would suggest that you look at those things, start doing those things, make a conscious decision that you're going to start being your own best friend, that you're going to start being kinder, more loving, more caring towards yourself. And keep asking yourself, would I say this? Would I behave this way to my best friend? Would I behave this way to someone I care about? If the answer is no, then don't do it to yourself. Choose some affirmations, put them around your house so that every time you see them, you say them, and you say them several times, because you're trying to rewire your brain from those beliefs that you're not worthy, that you're not attractive, and you're not pretty enough, you're not blah, 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 all that kind of bullshit. You're choosing new beliefs. And just like you can't go to the gym once and then you're buff and fit for life, it's a practice. It's a constant daily practice. Constant daily practice. Learn to praise yourself. You can say it in your head. I sometimes give myself a little pat on the back, but learn to praise yourself every day for everything, big or small. Not just the big things, not just like passing your driving test or getting a degree. You know, all the times you don't feel like doing something, but you do it anyway. Praise yourself. You know, when you're struggling, praise yourself for actually trying. You know, praise yourself. Try and live from a state of neutrality and start practicing acceptance. That no one is perfect. Accept yourself, who you are. And remember that you are not your behaviors, you are not your habits, you are not your past. And ask yourself, if at your core, do you like the person you are? And if you are not someone who goes around killing grannies and stealing off people, then chances are you're probably a decent person and that you are likable. And I'm sure if you've got friends, then I'm assuming you are a likable person. So if you like yourself at your deepest level, acceptance. This is who I am. I'm not perfect. There are things that I wish I would change. There are things that I'm working on every single day. But I accept who I am. And I accept that I too am worthy of being happy, of being loved, of loving, and all things wonderful. Now that I haven't even got halfway down my list, I shall save those for another day so I can go into more in depth. But I do a lot of mindset work in our classes, in our yoga classes. I bring in a lot of mindset. I coach people through classes because you are not a robot. You're not just a body. You are not a mind. You are not your thoughts. You're a multi-dimensional being. And we have kind of become disconnected from our divinity by living in the false ego, which sees us as separate from other people. And therefore we're not as good as other people, or we've got to try and be better than other people, or we've got to try and fit some kind of stereotypical ideal of what is beautiful. And that's bullshit, because when you really start to know and love yourself for who you are, not what you've done, not what you do, but who you are, you literally look different. And that's what my friend said the other day. You look different. And I've had a few people say that. You know, there's something about you, they say, that you just look different. And that's because all change comes from within. Start changing what's in here, and it will literally show on the outside. So I'm thinking of putting together a little program to kind of go a bit more in depth into the things that I've done and do, because I say it's not just a one-off thing, it's stuff that I do over time, have done over time, and continue to do. Remember, there is no there. There is no there to get to, and you will never ever have it sussed. But if you have any questions, if you want to ask me anything, and I'm really fucking open and honest, I don't have to answer, but you can ask me. If you have any questions, anything you want clarity on, or anything you want to know that you can put into practice, then just leave me a message. Enjoy the rest of your day, beautiful soul, because you deserve it. Mwah.